Hi, Alex. I'm Isabel from
Hi.
The Upcoming. It's lovely to speak to you today. Congratulations on this fantastic film.
Thank you.
So, could you start by telling viewers what Fire Through Dry Glass is about and what can they expect when they watch it?
Sure. Fire Through Dry Grass is about a group of black and brown disabled artists called the Reality Poets, uh, who live inside of a long term care facility on Roosevelt Island in New York City. And it's about the first year of the pandemic, when they were locked inside for over a year. And it's about their fight for their lives and the lives of other nursing home residents. And I co directed it with one of those residents, Andres J. Molina, who couldn't be here today. So I am here on behalf of both of us talking about the film.
And what inspired you to make it?
Well, it was Jay's vision, really. Before the pandemic, we were working together in a different capacity. He was learning filmmaking, and he got a grant to work with a professional filmmaker. And someone introduced us because I grew up on the little island where his nursing home is. And we hit it off right away, and he hired me, and we were working on another project of his for 9 months or so leading up to the beginning of the pandemic. And then in April of 2020, the nursing home moved a patient into his room who had COVID, separated by curtains, into the bed next to him. And he has some underlying conditions and was terrified. And he called Jenny Lee Brewster, who is the other producer on the film and who had started the group that the Reality Poets were formed in. And they decided that they needed to make a film about what was going on, and they invited me to co-direct.
Can you tell me a little bit about the reality poets then?
Sure. They're this group of amazing artists. Before the pandemic, they were writing poetry about their lives and traveling around New York City to talk to kids and other New Yorkers about gun violence and the dangers of what Jay, my co-director, would say living a life in the streets could be, and sort of how they ended up living in the nursing home, and sharing poetry and stories with different folks. So when the pandemic happened, they really found themselves in the middle of this storm, already holding a microphone, already using their art for activism, and very natural for them, I think, and for Jay to turn his camera now onto what was going on inside of their home.
And obviously, for you, you worked on Dear 13. It's also a film, seen through the perspective of adolescents. Was it important for you to make your projects from from people's perspectives, looking out?
Yeah, it is really important to me. You know, it's interesting sometimes as you make work, you realize what the commonalities are in your projects. And I think it's just recently that I've realized this is what I do. And it is something that I think is really important to not have outsiders speak for someone else, but to have the people whose stories that you're telling really have agency in telling their own story. So you're more participants in telling the story instead of putting your own view, or spin on it. I mean, sure, as an artist and a filmmaker, you're always having a hand in something like that. But I think listening to the participants in the film is always first and foremost the most important thing.
And I think obviously the presence of racism is very clear when they reference, their home as kind of a prison, and it feels very claustrophobic, very oppressive, and they refer to themselves as the forgotten ones. Did this
Yeah.
kind of surprise you when you started delving into this?
No.
No. Okay. And how did you feel about bringing that story to screen then?
All of us on the film team, including the participants, because it was a very collaborative film, and nearly all of the Reality Poets are on the film team in some capacity, from co-producer to on the impact team, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it's something that I think, all new, but as the story was going on and we were building layers, because it's a very layered film, there are a lot of things to talk about in it. It became apparent that we couldn't leave out any of the layers and that they were all really intertwined in the story of what the reality poets were going through. So it wasn't so much that it was surprising, but diving into all of them together and piecing it together, I think it was difficult to make sure that we didn't leave anything out.
And also, you talk about the filming process and the inclusion of animation from Guillermo Meno with The Fire. Can you talk about that and why you chose to sort of bring that into it?
Sure. The process of doing the animation was really amazing. We had a wonderful artist that we got to work with, an Argentinian artist called Guillermo Mena. And we knew from the beginning we wanted to do animation because Jay had been doing animation on his previous projects. He taught himself how to use After Effects by watching YouTube videos while he was living in the nursing home. And he's really good at it. And he was, doing a lot of smaller videos. I had never worked with animation before, but we felt like it was something important that we could do together. And then we wanted to find our own style, one that sort of, because we have really different visual styles and come from different worlds and different places. And it was really wonderful to find an artist that spoke to us both and get to work with him in such a collaborative way. We worked with him for nearly 2 years, really, on the animation. And the way that he works, he can do really quick sketches and stuff. So we'd have an idea in the edit and then send it to him, and then it would inform the edit, and then we just did so many. We were so lucky to be able to experiment with him. And I think in the end, we're all really happy with how it came about.
You should be. So, sort of some of the key themes that run through it, obviously we've spoken about. What do you hope that viewers will take away when they watch this?
The team really hopes, because I feel like I'm here representing this really collaborative, huge, beautiful team of ours. I think we all really hope that people will take away that nursing home lives matter. And there are all different sorts of people living inside nursing homes, and they all deserve to have a seat at the table where the decisions about their lives are being made and have agency over what happens to them.
And how does it feel for you to be here at the London Film Festival with your film? And